Hey guys, my name is Connor Gilpatrick, and I'm the host of the Gridiron Gilly Show, where I talk about high school football in East Texas, as well as interview coaches to talk about the game that we all love. If you like the show, please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share it with a friend. I hope you enjoy this episode of the Gridiron Gilly Show.
It's not just about building a championship football culture. It's about building a championship culture, period. About being a championship person.
A kid can never be loved too much. They can never have too many good influences on them.
And, pressure is not necessarily a bad thing.
When you're tired and that little voice in your head says you need to quit, can you push past that?
If you're successful 30% of the time at the plate, then you're pretty successful.
You want to get 1% better every day, and you're never a loser if you learn. So if we make a mistake, as long as we're fixing it, we're rolling on.
We tackle every day.
Get you a whistle and get to work.
What's up, everybody? This is the Gridiron Gilly Show. I'm your host, Gridiron Gilly. Today I have Coach Paul Gould with the Frankston Indians with me. Coach, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Glad to be on here and talking with you.
Yes, sir. I'm glad that this is the first week of high school football season, the official week. The regular season starts, scrimmages are out of the way. How do you feel about that? You excited?
I'm excited, ready to get the season started. It's always nice to be able to hit somebody different. So those scrimmages are good. The kids look forward to it. Get a chance to play somebody else, and you get a chance to kind of see your team, see what you need to work on, stuff like that. Not as much pressure, I guess you could say. But to get the regular season started, start putting the jerseys on and getting the band going and all that good stuff, man. It's great to have Friday nights back.
Yes, sir, absolutely. So usually how I start this, I'll ask the coaches to just introduce themselves, talk about, where they grew up at, when they realized they wanted to start coaching, and then if they have anybody who influenced them, like maybe a high school coach or a parent or something like that. Because a lot of coaches I've interviewed, their parents were coaches also.
Right.
So if you want to get started, just start talking about that if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah. Name's Paul Gould. I grew up in Jacksonville, Texas. Played football for a guy named Danny Long there in Jacksonville. Was lucky enough to play for Coach Long there in Jacksonville. Had a lot of great coaches under him that have gone on to have a lot of success. Coach Jeff Traylor was one of my coaches in high school, who's now the head coach at the University of Texas, San Antonio. Coach Matt Turner, who's down there with him. A lot of great coaches there in Jacksonville that I got to be around. It was about, probably my sophomore, junior year, I decided that I wanted to coach also. Coach Long kind of pushed me in that direction, saying that he thought I'd be a good coach. And I said, well, I'll give it a shot. I didn't come from a family of coaches. So went to school, got my degree and feels like I just started yesterday, but I believe I'm starting my 26th year, man, I've loved it ever since I started and still loving it and, still going strong.
Yes, sir. And so you're from Jacksonville. You played at Jacksonville. You said you played for Traylor or with Traylor?
Played for Traylor. My senior year in Jacksonville, it was his first year to come and be a coach there in Jacksonville.
Okay.
He actually coached. It's funny. He actually coached the offensive line my senior year, and so we got to know each other real well because I played O-line, and so me and him, got to know each other real good and learned a lot from him, and stuff like that.
Yes, sir. And then Matt Turner, that's a name I've heard a lot too, associated with, I guess, Gilmer also.
Correct.
I interviewed Kerry Lane last year. It was his first year at New Diana, and he had a lot of things to say about Turner and Jeff Traylor.
Right.
So let's get into that's where you grew up at. You talked about your influence. Let's talk about your coaching career and where all you've coached at and how you ended up where you're at now.
Okay. I started off, my first job was in Alto, Texas, back in 2001, I believe. I graduated from Stephen F. Austin, got a phone call from a guy named Marty Murr, who had just gotten the job down there. He followed Lucky Gamble, who was the head coach at Alto forever. Anyway, he had followed him. I'm coming straight out of college. He asked me to come down and interview. Obviously being from Jacksonville, Alto's not too far down the road. So I went and interviewed. I didn't think I did very good in the interview, but he calls me back probably the next day and offers me a job. And so go down there, I worked for him for 4 years. There at Alto, we had some success. And when he left, he went down to, I believe, Anahuac, went down kind of South Texas or whatever. And a guy named Keith Gardner came from Centerville over to Alto. I stayed on there in Alto, and when Coach Gardner got there, he made me the offensive coordinator in, I believe, 2005. We were fortunate enough in 2006 and 2007 to win a state championship, back-to-back state championships there in Alto. I stayed in Alto for, I think, 9 years. In 2010, I went to Chapel Hill for a year with Thomas Sitton. He had gotten the job at Chapel Hill. I know Coach Sitton real well, and a lot of the guys that work for him, a guy named Chris Tabor and Jason Holman, real good football coaches. They've been head coaches here in East Texas before, but got to work with them for a year. And then Coach Gardner was still at Alto. He calls me and said, "Hey man, I'm getting close to retiring. I'd like for you to come back down here and my last couple of years still be an assistant, and then when I retire, I'd like for you to kind of step into the job here at Alto." And man, I couldn't pass that up. So went back down to Alto and was there for a couple of years. And Coach Gardner retired. They made me the head coach there. I was there for, I believe, 5 years as head coach. And after I left there, I came here to Frankston and starting my 9th year here in Frankston. So it's been pretty close. I hadn't had to go off real far. I've got to stay kind of close to home, close to family, and been real fortunate to be able to stay a long time at a few places.
Yes, sir. In Frankston, I didn't know you'd been there 9 years. That's a pretty long time. I remember you being at Alto, like we talked about just before we pushed record. Alto's always been as far as I've known Alto, always been a very good football program. And then, me being from Joaquin, back when 1A was a thing and not 6-man, I remember moving up to 2A and playing Frankston in a district. It was like Joaquin, Frankston, West Rusk, ARP, bunch of teams that were really good at football, and basketball season came early for Joaquin a couple of years whenever we were having to play those guys. But yeah, man, you had a very good season last year. I do know that. I remember that first game last year, Joaquin and Frankston. You had a very good team, 10-0, you 11-1, right?
Yep, went 11-1, but had a undefeated regular season. First time they've ever done that here in Frankston. So it was a great year and a big deal here for sure.
Absolutely, no doubt. Let's see. I'm looking at my little sheet of paper here. I got everything written down on. We've already talked about a lot so far in the 7 minutes we've been on here. I want you to get into your staff, your coaching staff, the guys that, call offense, defense, special teams, the assistants, all the guys that do the things behind the scenes. And if you want to talk about your players on the offense and defensive side, kicking, whoever, you can go ahead and highlight those guys if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, starting my 9th year here in Frankston, I believe when I got here, they told me I was the 5th head coach in 4 years in Frankston, or maybe the 6th in 5 years. I can't really remember that. So they had a lot of turnover, a lot of coaching turnover. When I got here, it was late in the summer, so I wasn't able to really bring some of my guys. They had gone on and taken jobs other places. One of them being Josh Moore. He was my defensive coordinator at Alto. He's now the head coach at Cushing. Been the head coach at Cushing for a while. But anyway, got here, had a whole new staff, guys that I really didn't know. Hired some people coming in late. A couple of guys that I'd known over the years, from other schools or whatever. But anyway, got here at Frankston, really didn't know a lot about the kiddos. And obviously when we come in, there was no coaches returning on staff. So as a coaching staff, we got here, we didn't know any kid. And so first day of practice, we go down the hill and, we all had tablets and notepads, and we're writing down what John Smith could play. We didn't know. We saw the name John Smith. We didn't know if he was a quarterback or if he was a right tackle. So, that first year was really interesting. But bringing guys in, brought a guy in to be my defensive coordinator named Alec Walford. He's from Athens, been around the Athens area, coached in Waxahachie, won a state championship up there a long time ago. But he's been my defensive coordinator and been with me for 9 years now. here in Frankston. I've gone through a few offensive coordinators over the years, guys that have moved on and gotten good jobs. Of course, that's kind of my background as an offensive guy. So, had some guys calling it. I've called it at times. But now I've got a new coordinator, or I say new. He was come in last year named Kyle DeZern. He'd been a head coach up in the Metroplex area, Northeast Texas, a few times and been at some bigger schools. But he's originally from here in Frankston. So he came back home, and he's been calling the offense the last couple of years. So those are my two coordinators. Some of my assistant coaches, a guy named Kyle Kern. He's my defensive line coach, also helps me with the offensive line. He's originally from Overton. Real good coach, younger guy, does a great job for us. And had him over here. This is his second year. Really excited to have him on staff. Guy named Tyler Freidinger, second-year coach. I actually coached him here in Frankston, and he went to school and decided he wanted to be a coach, and he's back on my staff. He's one of our secondary coaches and wide receivers coach. Another fellow by the name of Wes King. He actually worked with me down in Alto. He was my baseball coach, and he's on staff here. Does a great job. He's one of my D-line coaches, and I've been around Wes a long time. Worked with him at, like I said, at Alto, and he's our baseball coach also here. And then Nathan White, another one of my assistant coaches from Frankston, does a real good job for us here. And then Keith Ellis, just hired him this year. He came from Bullard. He's actually originally from Frankston. He's older. He's more seasoned, I guess. I shouldn't say older. He's seasoned. Been around a while, and anyway, glad to have him here on staff. Man, I'm excited about the staff we have. I think they do a really good job. They love these kiddos and get after them. And yeah, man, it's just been really good. A real good group of coaches to work with. We have a good time here in the coach's office and have a good time on Friday nights.
Yes, sir. It seemed like you got a lot of hometown guys around there. And another thing I wanted to bring up, I was going to say this while ago. I worked at a I think it was Holiday Hoops, Tennahaw thing they do every year during basketball season. I think Frankston was a part of that a couple years ago, maybe, because I remember I ran into some Frankston basketball boys, and I was like, "Hey, man, I remember years ago when I was in high school, Frankston had a really good running back, Treston Coleman, and they said he was a coach at Frankston. Is he not? Is he not there anymore?"
No, Coach Coleman was with us for 3 years, and he went to a troop last year.
Okay.
He had played for Coach Wells when Sam Wells was the head coach here, and I think he got an offer he couldn't refuse from Coach Wells. I don't blame him, and so he's over in troop. He's their running backs coach over there in troop now, and from what I hear, doing a really good job over there.
Absolutely. They got a really good program over there. I saw them play last year, that troop and ARP game. Seemed like everybody and their mama was there that night.
Right. Yeah, that's a big rivalry anyway. You're going to have a lot of maroon in the stands on both sides, and, man, there's going to be a lot of people showing up to those ball games.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Talk about your players now, like who you have on the offensive side of the ball, defensive side of the ball, quarterback, running back, whoever.
Okay. Yeah, so offensively, we have a running back returning. He kind of split carries last year. His name's Michael Bryant. He split carries with another guy last year that was a senior named Bo Donnell, but Bo has graduated. So Michael's the guy back there this year. Man, he's a tremendous athlete. He's a 2-3 sport athlete. Last year in track, went to the state track meet in the 100, got third. Can really run. He's a great looking kid. He's a great kid as it is, but got a few offers to go play college ball to be a running back. So really excited about having Michael back there at running back. And then out at wide receiver, returning starter Braden Gray. He's a tremendous receiver. Really quick. About 6 foot tall. Can really run. Runs great routes. Has great hands. And he was one of our big receivers last year. I believe he was the second leading receiver on the team last year. He's going to kind of be the featured guy this year. We graduated a really good receiver last year named A.J. Donnell, who went on to Abilene Christians playing up there for them. But Braden is A.J.'s cousin. So He's pretty good athlete himself, and like I said, he's going to be a featured guy there at wide receiver for us. Also, our quarterback is a kid named Dallas DeZern, Coach DeZern's son. He's a junior this year. He's stepping in to be the quarterback. So, coach's kid, man, he knows it all. He knows the offense really well, in and out. He don't have a choice, because not only does he get to hear it up here at the field house, I'm sure he hears it plenty at the house too. So he's stepping into the role of quarterback for us. And then, offensive line wise, I got a couple of returners back from last year. Luke Dugan, who was our starting right tackle last year. I've moved him to right guard this year. Luke was an all-district football player last year for us, did a great job. And then Chris Kovarik, another offensive tackle. He was my left tackle last year. I moved him to right tackle. He's returning. He was an all-state offensive tackle last year, so we're looking to have big things out of him, on the O-line this year. But those are kind of really our returning starters. We graduated some pretty good ones last year. I think we were only returning 3 starters. So anyway, those guys on the offensive side of the ball. So we got some guys that are going to have to step in and play well and do some stuff. But I think we're capable of doing that on the offensive side. And then defensively, returning starters, Tucker Palmer is one of our linebackers, was an all-state linebacker last year, led our team in tackles last year with, I think, about 180 tackles, 170 tackles, somewhere in there. He's been a starter for 2 years. This will be his 3rd year as a starter there in the middle of our defense. But he kind of calls it, man. He has everybody going where they need to go. Does a great job at linebacker. Another returner, Secorvius Foster. Secorvius was an all-state nose guard for us last year. We have kind of toyed with him. We're moving him around a little bit more this year. He's going to play nose guard. He's going to play linebacker. Going to play outside linebacker. We're moving him around. But a tremendous kid. He was a sophomore last year. He's a junior this year. Man, looking for big things out of Secorvius. I think he's going to do a great job for us. And then I guess secondary-wise, Braden Gray, who also was our really good receiver, he's back on the defensive side of the ball. He was a safety for us, did a real good job. So I think he's going to do good. I believe those are the only 3 returning starters we got on defense back this year. So a lot of guys are going to have to step up. And, that's an exciting part of Friday Night Football and seeing these guys kind of grow and move into a big-time role. And, our expectation hadn't lowered. So we're expecting big things out of them and, ready for them to get after it.
No doubt. I heard you mention receiver. I know that. I remember that guy from last year, the one you said went to Abilene Christian.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he was a really good ball player. And then the guy you have this year playing both ways. I'm sure you got a lot of guys playing both ways anyways, right?
We do. We try. It's just 2A football. When I first got here, it's kind of – I thought it was kind of funny. Frankston was 3A. And, of course, coming from Alto, 2A, a smaller 2A, you don't have as many kids. I mean, you're going to play both sides of football. And when I first got here, I had a lot of kids. Coach, I only play one way. I said, that's about to change. I mean, this is Ironman football now. You got to be able to play both ways and be in great condition. And our kids have embraced that. But yeah, now we'll have probably starting out. We're probably going to have about 6 kids starting out going both ways. So. Obviously have to be real good shape to do that and run around, and they take pride in that kind of stuff. So, got to be in shape and ready to go.
Yes, sir. This is my 2nd year doing this. I started last year, something I had thought about for a while. My buddy, he was like, man, you ought to do it. Because I was originally just going to talk about high school football and college football, but he was like, you need to interview coaches. And I was like, man, I'm not good with technology. I had all these excuses. But I was like, the more I thought about it, the more I was like, East Texas football really don't get a whole lot of coverage. And then I swear, man, I was on Facebook yesterday, and it was like person after person after person who does cover East Texas football. I'm just so used, I guess, to seeing Dave Campbell's.
Right.
They're mostly like 5A, 6A, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio schools. It's mostly what I see them talking about. So I wanted to cover East Texas football. And East Texas, to me, is everything from like Texarkana down to Kirbyville area, all the way to like the Canton area, which I'm interviewing Canton's coach tomorrow.
Right.
pretty broad area for me. But one thing I told myself whenever I started doing this, I was like, I don't want to ask questions because I hear interviews all the time of like, "Hey, coach, what do you expect? What is your expectations this year?" And they always say, we're going to be good, which I don't. I'm not going to ask those type of questions because I don't expect you to say, we'll probably go 1-9 and we'll be playing basketball, second week in November.
Right.
So I try not to ask those type of questions because I know no one's going to be like, oh yeah, we'll be mediocre at best.
Right.
Which I do have high expectations for Frankston. I interviewed Clay Baker last week at Carlisle, and that's a very good district, honestly. Y'all were in the same district last year, played each other, are familiar opponents.
Yeah.
And, we talked about last year and this year and things that we can expect to see. All righty. That's enough of my rambling. We're here to talk about you. So my next question for you is, what do you look for when you're hiring a coach?
That's actually a really good question. Man, I'll tell you kind of, it's going to sound silly. And it's really kind of how I got hired. How I told you when I first interviewed for my first job at Alto, I thought I bombed the interview, man. I get in there and I'm coming straight out of college. I'm coming from Jacksonville, which back then was a 4A. They didn't have 6A. So I'm coming to this little small 1A school here in Alto, and I think I know all this stuff about football. And man, the head coach starts asking me about defense. Well, at Jacksonville we played one way, and so when he asked me what defense we ran at Jacksonville and what position I played on defense, I couldn't answer the question. Coach, I don't know. And he said, "How do you not know what defense you play?" I said, "Well, when we got done on offense, we went over and sat on a bench, and our offensive line coach would come talk to us. And when they hollered offense, get on the field, we'd run out on the field." So, but that being said, I left the interview, wasn't too fired up about it, and get home, and Coach Murr calls me the next day, and he offers me the job. And when I went back down there and I get to talking to him, I said, "Coach," I said, "I really didn't think I did a very good job in this interview. What did you see in me that thought, this guy's going to be who we need to hire?" And he said, "Man, I sat there and I talked to you that whole time." He said, "All I could see was your leg was just bouncing, man. It was just bouncing up down. Every time you talked about something, you seemed like you had some passion about it. You were excited." And, he said, "Yeah, you told me you didn't know defense and didn't really know what was going on that side of the ball, but those things can be taught," he said, "but when you get excited about something and you really feel passionate about something, you got something there." And so that being said, I've taken that into interviews. And when I talk to guys, obviously, you sit down, you have a good conversation with them, you get to know them. A lot of times, especially, I don't know if this is good or bad, when you've done it as long as I have, you know them somehow or some way. You've coached against them or talked to somebody that knows them and all that. But, I just kind of see if they got that spark also, if they got a little fire in them and excited about what they're talking about. Anybody can go in and just kind of go through whatever. But, if you got a little excitement stuff, that's the kids feed off that kind of stuff. And man, if you really love what you're doing, you're going to be up here at work, you're going to have a good time. And so that's kind of one of the things I look at when I'm hiring a coach is just, what kind of passion, kind of excitement. Can I see that when I'm talking to them, and that's one of the things I look at.
Yes, sir. I like that answer. I told you I was a police officer earlier before we started this. But a few weeks ago, I went to FTO school to start training new officers who are coming into the profession. And as a part of that school, we had to do a PowerPoint presentation. And I already told you I'm not good with technology, so I had to figure all that out. But we had to do a presentation and teach the class something that they didn't know how to do. And we just had to pretty much show that we knew how to teach somebody something and help them to understand it. I talked about blocking schemes in offensive football, like in the run game, gap blocking and zone blocking.
Right.
I've done a lot of research, and I like zone run, inside zone, outside zone, split zone. That's what I like. So that's what I did my presentation over. And I was sitting there and I was, doing my little PowerPoint. And at the end of it, I was like, "Any questions?" The guy was like, "Are you a coach?" And I was like, "I am not." They was like, "Well, we can tell you're like really excited about it." And I was like, "I am." I got a 2-year-old boy who he always wants to throw the ball around and stuff. And I got twin boys on the way. They'll be here in like 3 months. So I'm fired up about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll live vicariously through them.
That's funny you say that. man, you better hold on to it because that stuff goes fast. I graduated my oldest daughter, 3 years ago now. And then we had twins as well that were seniors this last year, a boy and a girl. So, yeah, that's, man, your life's you're about to have a lot of fun. I can tell you that right now, and probably not have a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
Especially those first 2 years, I'll say that. But no, man, it's awesome. It is, having kids that close together and everything. Just get ready, man. Your life's about to change. It's about to be a lot of fun.
Yes, sir. No doubt, no doubt. It's already starting to change now. I think my 2-year-old, he's about to be 2.5 in like a month or so, and he's already. I guess he can kind of sense something's different and something's changing. So it seems like every night he'll wake up and come try to get in our bed. He'll wake himself up, and he's never done that. He's always slept peacefully throughout the night. He's always been good. But the last few weeks, he's done that, and I'm like, dude, I got to be at work in a few hours. You need to go get in your own bed. All righty. We talked about, your career as a coach, your team, your coaching staff. We've talked about, 11-1 last year. This year you got that new district. You got Carlisle, who's familiar, Cayuga, Kearns, but they've added Hawkins, Como-Picton, and Alba Golden. Well, what do you expect to see out of the district this year?
You said it also. I think it's going to be a tough district. Last year, those same guys, Cayuga, Kearns, Carlisle, us, they were battles, man. Those ball games were battles, and then we've added Alba Golden, Hawkins, and Como-Picton. I can be honest, I've never played Como-Picton in all the years I've been coaching in football. So I really don't know a lot about them. Obviously you hear people and you talk to people and all that good stuff, but I've never been on the other side of the football field against those guys, so really don't know what we're getting into with Como. My first couple years here, Alba Golden was in our district, so know a little bit about them. Coach Webster had just gotten the job there. I think our last year to be in a district with them, and so I know Coach Webster a little bit, and I know he does a pretty good job over there at Alba with those kiddos, and they get after it. And then Hawkins, we were in a district with Hawkins for, I believe, 4 years. The last time we were in the district with them, I believe the seniors now were freshmen there at Hawkins. So I know the quarterback's coming back. He was a freshman. He started as a freshman quarterback, and he'll be a senior this year. He's really good, can spin the ball really well. So those are the three new ones. I know a little bit about a couple of them, nothing about Como. So, that'll be interesting. It'll be fun, too, to play somebody different, But I do know with the Cayugas and the Kearnses and the Carlisles and those guys, man, it's going to be a battle every week. I thought our district last year was kind of underrated, really overlooked. I thought we had a really tough district, and I don't think a lot of people really felt like that until we got to the playoffs. Everybody was advancing, and of course Carlisle went 3 rounds deep, and it's going to be a fun district to be in.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Mildred, that was another team that was in your district last year. I don't even know where Mildred is.
It's right outside of Corsicana. If you're southwest of Corsicana, probably 3 miles outside of Corsicana. So not really a town. It's just a school, and But yeah, they moved up. They had a lot more enrollment, so they moved up. And then we had Crossroads in our district last year also, who moved down to Division 2A. So those were the ones that left, and then we gained 3. So yeah.
Yes, sir. And then you open up this week with Winona. My brother lives in Winona. His wife's from there, and their son, he's like in 3rd grade over there at Winona. But you got Winona, Beckville, Grapeland, and then is it Iola? Is that how you say it?
Yep.
Yeah, it's another place I've never heard of, and I don't know where that's at either. But what do you expect out of this game this Friday? Is it Friday night you play?
Friday night, yeah.
Friday. I know a lot of games are on Thursday this year. But what do you expect to see Friday night out of Winona?
They have a new coaching staff over there. When we agreed to this ball game, it was the old coaching staff. Ken Cook was the head coach over there at the time. I know Coach Cook for a long time. I worked with him actually at Chapel Hill. But anyway, so new coaching staff there now. Not quite sure what we're going to see. Obviously you get film for scrimmages and all that, but that's scrimmages. There's a lot of stuff's going to change on Friday night. So, as far as just kind of what I expect out of Winona, they're going to be very athletic. They can run. They're fast. They're going to be extremely excited. Friday night, first game with a new coach. New coach is going to be fired up. So I think it's going to be a very emotional ball game Friday night. We're in Winona. We're going to their place. So it'll be a good ball game for us. Just to see that kind of speed running around, and I expect it to be, like I said, I expect it to be a great ball game Friday night.
Yes, sir. That was another team too when Walking was in that district with Frankston, ARP, West Rusk. Winona was also in that district.
Yes.
So I know Frankston and Winona was pretty familiar with each other.
Yeah, we played each other quite a bit. Probably, I think this is probably about the 5th time we've played since I've been here in Frankston.
Yes, sir. Let's now talk about Frankston athletics as a whole, because you're the athletic director. You're over the boys and girls side?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I know Frankston had a really good baseball team this past year, but how's Frankston athletics as a whole?
It's been really good. I've been really excited or happy with our kids. They've bought into what we do. We've had some pretty good athletic years the last 3 or 4 years. All of our teams making the playoffs. Our basketball teams are making the playoffs. Both baseball and softball making the playoffs and advancing. Our track team has made it down to state the last couple of years. We've had some kids getting points at the state track meet. Matter of fact, last year at the state track meet, I think we finished 4th overall as a team in track. So kids they're buying into the program. They're competing in every sport we can compete in. So just overall, I'm really pleased with where we're at right now, and I'm excited, especially at small school. You want kids playing multiple things, and competing as many things as they can compete in, and right now that's exactly what our kids are doing, and they're having some success in it, and it makes things fun around here.
Absolutely. A few more questions and then we'll be done. And this is 32 minutes. This is usually I've done 2 interviews this year, and so far this is about where 40 minutes is usually my average. So we're doing perfect right now.
Okay.
But the next question, man, there's a lot of coaches who want to be where you're at. They want to be a head coach. So what's your advice to young coaches who want to be, I guess, who want to move up the ladder?
My advice, I guess, when you're starting out, just listen. Obviously in coaching, you're going to spend some hours at the field house. You're going to be up there, and I learned a lot by just sitting and listening to some of these guys. Some of these older coaches talk about, just tell stories, just anything, riding the bus or man, when we went this place, this is what happened here, and you just kind of listen to all these stories and listen to these coaches, and you find yourself learning a lot of football when you're just listening. Obviously we all watch football on Friday nights, Saturday nights, on Sundays, Saturdays and Sundays. So we all have opinions on how things need to be and all that stuff. But if you'll just kind of listen to these older guys, and because they've been there, there's a lot of things that go into it that you really don't think about. When you're a young coach, really all you think about is X's and O's, and man, how is this going to work if I put this and I put that, and those X's and O's have names, and they change every year in high school football. So you got to learn to get to those kind of kids. You got to learn to coach those X's and O's, and I've learned over the years in the coach's office, whoever has the Sharpie last usually wins the argument. Whoever has the Expo pen last on the whiteboard usually wins the argument. Those are always fun to go back and forth with coaches on that kind of stuff. But as a young coach, I just say, really, really listen. Because like I said, when you're drawing X's and O's on that board, it all looks good. But like I said, those X's and O's have names, and you have to coach those X's and O's. So they're always changing. Kids graduate, they move on, and you got to learn to coach a new one. So just listen, because you'd be surprised how much you pick up just by sitting there not saying a thing.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. A few more questions here. I was told last year not to ask this specific question. So I used to ask the best athlete you've coached, but someone told me not to ask that question. So the best athlete you've played against or coached against?
Okay, well, let me think here. That's a good question. So some of the best athletes I played against, I would say we played Sulphur Springs my junior year. They had a guy named Damon Lewis who played defensive tackle. Went to the University of Miami and was a number 1 round draft pick by the St. Louis Rams. I actually got to play. He was the D tackle on my side all night long, so I got a dose of Damon Lewis all night, which was fun. And then played well in coaching against coached against some real good ones. Kid come out of Tatum a long time ago named Stephen Hodge went to TCU and played for the Cowboys a little while. He was a tremendous athlete. Also coached against Lane Johnson, who starts at right tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles. He was actually the quarterback at Groveton when we played him. The 2 years we won state there in Alto, that was our second round game. We played at Groveton both years, and Lane Johnson was their quarterback. So he was a real good one to coach against. And then, I mean, those are some that I've played and coached against. And then, some of the better ones. I know you said they asked you not to ask it, but I've coached some really good ones too. Here at Frankston, AJ Donnell, who obviously graduated last year, is at Abilene Christian. He's one of the special ones I've got to coach. Kid named Keenan Johnson, I had him at Alto, played quarterback for me for 3 years, went to Tulsa, played receiver at Tulsa. He's been a good one. Those are some of the names just off the top of my head that I think about, when we talk about some of those guys. So, yeah, man, I've been in East Texas my whole time. I've got to see some really, really good football players, and it's been a blessing to see that because, man, it's exciting to watch those kind of kids run around and play, and it's been fun.
Yes, sir. And being at Alto and Frankston, I know Frankston's bigger than Alto, but you might have at some point played the same teams at Alto and Frankston. So, in your opinion, what's the toughest place to play at?
Clay will probably like this one. I'm gonna say Carlisle. It's always I'll say it, and Clay knows this, and his dad Rocky. I've played against Coach Baker. Both those guys have been head coaches since I've been a head coach, and I've coached against them. But something always seems to happen over in Carlisle, and I just can't explain it. There's always something that you gotta deal with. 1 year I think it was Army worms on the football field, and it's always something over there at Carlisle, and I know they'll get a kick out of that, me saying that. But man, they do a great job with the kids they got. Man, they play hard. They play hard anywhere you play them. But I'm gonna tell you, you get them over in Carlisle, Texas, buddy, you better be ready because they gonna be ready to play. They get fired up there, and I would say that's probably the toughest place for me coaching that we've played, and we will continue to play is over in Carlisle.
I love watching them play. Like I like whenever Joaquin would play them. They're playing Mount Enterprise this week. We talked about that last week, but yeah, they're always. That's why I told Coach Baker. I was like, it's always consistent with Carlisle. They're always a tough physical team, and I don't know. It's just always a great game. It's always a great atmosphere, especially there with the little. Which I guess y'all are both the Indians.
Yes,
but they do that little tomahawk chop thing.
Oh yeah,
that Florida State does, and that I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Who would you say is Frankston's rivalry?
I would probably say Cayuga. We're so close as far as football goes. They're probably the closest football school to us. We have a few that don't play football. La Pointer, Natchez, they don't play football. So, different sports, it depends. But as far as football goes, I'd say Cayuga. We've been in the district with them the last 4 years now. So our kids are, as a crow flies, Cayuga's about 20 miles, 25 miles from here. Now, it probably takes 45 minutes to get there because in East Texas, you're going to take a bunch of back roads and, all that good stuff. But, I would say Cayuga's probably our biggest rivalry when it comes to football just because the kids know each other. They're in whatever sport you're playing, we're using a district with them. So everybody knows everybody. We know the coach staff there. They know us real well. So that'd probably be my answer to that.
We played Cayuga my senior year in Cayuga, and if their football field's in the same spot as it was back then, there's like a cow pasture right beside it.
It is. They've actually turned that cow pasture into a baseball, softball field and parking lot now.
Okay.
But yeah, it was. They just did that last year. It had been like that for a long time. Yeah, you got the cow pasture right next to the football field for sure.
Yeah, like we were sitting there playing, and there was like cows like it seemed like 20 yards away from us. It seemed like at that time. I'm sure they'd got loose before and they've been on the field.
I'm sure that's happened multiple times.
A few more questions, and then we'll wrap up here. But I'll just ask this, just because I always ask it: the best sports movie in your opinion?
Oh man, best sports movie.
I used to ask football movie, but I always got the same answer just about every time. So I just now sports is a broad area.
Yeah. Best sports movie. Man, that's a good question. Remember the Titans is a real good one. You know, it's got some historical meaning to it, obviously. I think I'd probably say Remember the Titans. That's a real good sports movie. It's a good football movie. But I'd say that's probably the best one I've seen. Maybe Rudy, anything like that. But I'd say Remember the Titans is kind of the one coming to my head right now.
That's the answer I always get. College football. I used to ask college football or NFL, but it's also a silly question because everybody likes college football better, even though it's kind of turning into seems like it's turning into the NFL now.
Yeah, a little minor league football.
Yeah, I just saw. I don't know if it's actually happening or not. I think it's crazy if it is, but a guy that's playing, he's already been doing preseason with an NFL team, coming back to college to play.
Yep.
I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but I hope not because that's crazy.
I know who you're talking about. When they made this last ruling about the athletes, they can have 5 years of eligibility. So they're kind of doing away with the red shirt. You can basically play for 5 years, but that's it. None of the other things. So when they made that ruling, there were some people that have actually gone to camp with NFL teams that are trying to get back and play that 5th year. But I just read yesterday, matter of fact, the SEC, the Big Ten, I think it's Big Ten, they've already passed in their conferences that they're not going to allow anybody that's gone to the NFL to come back into their conference and play. So it looks like those conferences are about to do something about it because the NCAA, they're having trouble trying to enforce their rules right now, because it's kind of the Wild West out there with all that stuff. So we'll see. But no, I know exactly what you're talking about there.
Yeah, no doubt, because I know before all of that even was a thing, if you even declared for the draft as a college athlete, I'm pretty sure your time in college was done from that point on if you declared for the draft.
Yes, you lost your amateur status the moment you have declared for professional league. Yep.
All righty. 2 more questions will be done. The UIL a few years ago, they made it I don't know but it's a mandate now, the wet bulb deal.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure what all it measures. I know it's like heat, humidity, the wind, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But how does that affect y'all at Frankston?
Well, we're actually pretty fortunate. So back in COVID, the craziness of COVID, you had to take everybody's temperature when they come into the school and all that stuff. So our high school principal come to me and said, "Hey, look," he said, back then we had, I think athletics was 5th period. And he said, "There's so many kids coming to school in the mornings. Obviously everybody's coming. It's taking too long to take everybody's temperature. So can we move athletics to 1st period? It would make it easier. That way you guys can take the temperature of all the athletes that are coming and the kids that aren't, playing football or whatever. We can get them, and it kind of splits them up. And I'd never done 1st period athletics before. I didn't know how much I'd like that. So, but that's what he wanted to do, and we went with it. And I love it. So we practice in the mornings. We've been doing that for the last, I guess, 4 or 5 years. And so the wet bulb doesn't affect us as far as high school goes, and our varsity and our junior varsity. Where it gets us is in our junior high right now. Our junior high practices after school. So you got to monitor it. I get where the UIL is coming from with this. It's just one of those things you got to do. But no, it's got us a few times already with our junior high kiddos, and which is okay. Starting off the year, half those kids don't even know how to put their pads on. So you're still trying to teach them how to put pants on and buckle their pads and all that stuff. So that's okay. We just kind of do what we can. Like I said, if it's too hot, we can't get out. we go in a gym somewhere, or we'll go lift weights or whatever. But as far as our high school goes right now, it's not affecting us because, like I said, we practice in the morning, so we've been pretty fortunate to be able to do that.
Yes, sir. I saw Wascom. A couple weeks ago, they moved their athletic period to first period. And I thought that was probably the best thing for most schools I was like, every school should probably do that just because it would probably not ideal, but as far as the mandate goes, the wet bowl mandate, that's probably the best thing for schools to do is what you guys do, athletics first period.
And like I said, we've been doing it for a while, so the kids knew it. They had a routine. They understand what time we're supposed to be on the field practicing and all that good stuff. The first year or so you put it in, you'll have a couple of kids kind of, well, I got to ride the bus. I can't make it on time. But they figure it out. And so those schools that had to move to the first period, they'll be going through those growing pains. But once you kind of get it going and have been doing it for a few years, it's been pretty good. And like I said, we've been lucky since the UIL mandated this. With us practicing in the mornings, it hadn't affected us.
Last question, and then we'll be done. Somebody wants to come watch Frankston play some football this year. Where is a good spot to eat at in Frankston?
Where's a good spot to eat at? Well, we have a Dairy Queen.
That's my favorite place.
Yeah. There is a Mexican food restaurant down on our square called Marco's that's really good. And then after that, there's really not any place to eat here in Frankston. So depending on which way you're coming from, if you're coming through Tyler, there's obviously 100 places to eat in Tyler. If you're coming through Jacksonville, Jacksonville's got some good spots. Palestine, and then Athens. Those are kind of the bigger towns around us. They're all probably 20 minutes or so from us. But if you're here in Frankston, I would recommend going to the Marcos. Like I said, they're really good. We just got a hibachi place here down on the 4-way stop. So I've tried that. That's pretty good too. So
sounds awesome.
Yeah. But if you're bringing a bunch of people, I would say you might want to hit one of the bigger towns because these are little smaller places, but they're good places to eat.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, that wraps it up, Coach. 49 minutes. We had some technical issues, so it was probably a little bit less than that. But I appreciate your time. I appreciate hearing about your life and your program and your coaching career, man. I'm excited to see what you guys do this year. Hopefully you pick up where you left off from last year. I know you got a lot of people to replace there, but I'm looking forward to keeping up with Frankston athletics.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me on. And, sorry about the technical difficulties. I don't know if it was our internet or kicking us off or whatever it was. But, I appreciate it, man. It's good talking with you. And anytime. I'm more than happy to be.
Yes, sir. Well, y'all take care, man.
Yes, sir.
God bless y'all.
All right, man. You too.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Gridiron Gilly Show. Remember, it's more than just a game, and I'll see y'all next time.
Football.